Rich and Mick have definitely decided to pin their campaign on painting Jamal and I as two who will never want to negotiate a contract again, which is 100% false. We have talked about it, time and time again, and we've been out educating the members about the realities ahead. Something our president should be doing, something that we should have a cohesive message in. Yet it's being used as a pawn to get elected. Any union worth their salt is going to find the ways to make pay actually increase, move forward, and our collective rights and our compensation be addressed. That is fundamentally who we are and what we're about. Outside of that, one of the things that usually isn't addressed that I'd like to just break open is why is Jamal and I running as a team. Rich and Mick clearly running as a team, but decide to pawn it off as they're not. Jamal and I wanted to be honest with you. We know our strengths, our weaknesses. They complement one another. We push each other. There is something to leadership, and it is not a one-person ideal. It's a team sport. I'll tell you that we know our best chance for success is with Team Daniels-Haltom, both of us being elected for these positions, because our ideas don't just sit because Nick and Jamal have all the good ideas. It's because of our style of engagement with the members.
The beauty of going out, and I think we just crossed over to 160 facilities yesterday. The beauty of going and visiting facilities is you get to the tone and tenor and feel the climate of where we are as a union.
The equation is we have to revamp the INSEP process. As it stands today, continuing with the same approach at INSEP will not yield results for those who are also already hired in the system. And we cannot continue to live in a world where 85% is the 100%. We have to start changing the process. And that's something that Rich and Mick have failed to do and continue to go down the same path. They'll say that they're going to address it or they're going to fix it. Jamal and I have said for over 2 years that we should be doing one of the rounds just level 8s and 9s only. All of these things will help build and move, not only with placement at the academy, but the movement through the entire system. As Jamal said, we have to go back and ensure that we keep in a negotiation for pay, regardless of position and band, meaning that the top of our band never stops moving upward, where it's not a stagnant band like it was in the past prior to the slate book, and that band just existed for the length of the term negotiation. We have to ensure that that is held for our higher level facilities. Then we need to start looking at increasing, obviously, your movement through that band in a more rapid-like manner. It takes leaders who are willing to engage and go down the road of negotiating these. But one would be taking CIC qualifications. We know we're pouring more time into CIC than ever before, so let's use that to our strength and say that should move us 2 years of raises in the band. So right off the bat, you now start going through the band faster, and then you earn 10% on top of that. The thing is, we have to increase our longevity raise. The 1.6 has served us well. However, it's time to continuing negotiating above and beyond that. We also want to talk about a controller incentive pay for all on top of where we currently exist, looking at longevity bonuses. So let's say we propose 2.5 and end up at a 2.0 June raise. Then we should start looking at, because we have our higher level facilities, or even the facilities, doesn't matter what your level is, that you're stuck in, can't get out of, we need to start ensuring that experience time you have at that facility, a single facility, is compensated for.
We would join any legislation that talks about abolishing the federal pay cap. We would lend ourselves to that. But in that, as Nick just said, premiums and differentials that aren't affected by the federal pay cap. So looking at a controller incentive overall, looking at maybe Saturday premiums, things like that. And oh, by the way, this can happen before 2026. We shouldn't be, and we don't have to wait for full-term negotiations in order to address the needs of our membership. We are only bound by our own imagination and our willingness to do work. Waiting simply for full-term or term negotiations, as they're more accurately described, is failing our membership. So
is talking about overtime. We would also engage in any mechanism or method to start looking at legislation if it's going to require that, or if we can somehow, put places around negotiation, but likely this would change the retirement, is it could be looked at as part of your high 3 overall assessment. But because we are, in a unique scenario right now, we are the ones that are going to save the aviation industry from collapse.
We don't want this to be scripted. We want to actually have conversation with members, because oftentimes we can learn things. But we recognize that the economy has set us back. Our spending power is not where it was, and we do have to make an adjustment to get us back on track. We have 10 regions. They should all be hearing the same message. There should be absolutely no division in the truth as to what we're doing, because when our members are clear, they're decisive, and they force us to make good decisions. When we intentionally try to put misinformation in front of them, we're hurting ourselves in the long run. So we have to put a stop to that.
But I want to get to the areas that you just discussed of uniting. When we get to and talk about uniting, that's going to come through action and through leadership. So it's about your actions and not about just saying fancy words out to the membership. You have to go and show that we have no intent to remove anyone because of loyalty, that elections are healthy, and that in 3 years from now, if people aren't scared to go out and support somebody, like, hey, right now, Jamal and I here on the regular, man, I really do support you guys, but I don't want, to be cast out of a position or for consideration of other things. That's telling you, that's absolutely clear that our union isn't going in the right direction. And this comes from going out and meeting with thousands of members and listening to them. So let's go with a three-pronged approach on INSEPT itself. One, you have to start working on targeted moves behind, again, we mentioned it earlier, the 4 through 7s that want to go to 9s and belows. We have to do a very specific round for just an 8 and 9 and advertising. And we need to talk about working towards the number of 14,335. We're nowhere near that number, so finding ways to do the retention and throughput where we don't just release somebody, put people in 6-day work weeks, and immediately make them dig back out for 9 months after training somebody for a year and a half. Fundamentally, the air traffic controllers everywhere saying that doesn't work. The second one is bring back swaps. But the other thing that's out there that we're not discussing is deviations, and the abysmal rate of deviations that have destroyed many of the facilities that are on this call. That happens when you don't have a president that has a plan or approach and just says, RVPs go out and make a good data-based argument. And when you say make a good data-based argument, that sounds great. Where's the data? Because this has been happening for over 7 years. Oh, lo and behold, it was words and no actions. It was say make a good data-based argument, but the union didn't have an entire collection of all of these deviations that are occurring. What did the Southwest region do? We decided to put a team together. We FOIA'd the agency. We did a Freedom of Information Act request, got all the names of every deviation that's ever occurred. Well, it's their right to be able to select managers. We need to make a system where we're not grabbing on deviations, and then we're also doing, just management selections in general, and then grabbing, members through INSEPT and taking a facility that has worked their ass off, who get out of a staffing shortage and immediately plummeting right back into it. Until we start addressing those things in totality, we'll continue to just frustrate our membership, and the words of train your way out of it are a bleak reminder of our current situation. You'll never hear me say, I, the president, am going to personally negotiate flight deck training, as Jamal had mentioned. That's a president looking for applause. That's a president that wants people to, oh, thank God you're here. That's not what a union is or what a union is about. Our job collectively should be, this is what our union is doing to move it forward, and we're going to put the best experts in the room to ensure that they deliver on the behalf of the membership. That's what it's about, ensuring they get the applause, not you. Because there's a topic that I want to make sure that is touched for this group. You may have heard in the past. One of the things that we know that we have as an organization that we must tackle is also mental health. These are things that we cannot sit around and just hope for awareness. We have to start getting into the world of preventive, not just awareness, to start working on an optional 1 hour of pay period where our members could utilize services of counseling or EAP, where they can schedule that in advance and we be paid on duty time to start with that. And maybe that helps one member the first year or 100 members. That's one more person that we as a union are finding creative ways to ensure the realities of today are to be addressed.
Vulnerability is something that is often looked at as weakness, but being vulnerable and identifying when there's a problem is something that can save lives.
Jamal and I are here because we know you deserve a choice in this election. And it's clearly two different paths. Mick and Rich are in a world of half-truths, lies, deceit, misinformation. Just go look at an anonymous forum. Their campaigns lead those forums. But I'm not going to sit here and watch somebody say they'll rip somebody's personal life apart if they are to run for a position, because that means they'll be willing to do it to you too when it comes time, or if you don't agree with them. We don't need to be a union of just yes persons. We need to be a union that has great discourse, that has different ideas, and that it can be trusted to know to have our internal discussions of how to make us better, and that your leaders are going to listen to them. They're not going to shrug you off, and they're not going to scoff at a moment to come and spend time with you. I'm not going to have to hear Rich say, how fast can I get out of this event so I can just leave and go get a slice of pizza? That's being derelict in your position. Let's get back to wanting to be with the membership and move us forward together. So with that, now it's on you. It's your job to take this, decide what direction we're going. Ballots go out on June 3rd. It's going to be your voice and you influencing others of who to vote for that will really change it. Don't just leave it to Jamal and I, because that's not what is on the table. It's going to be all of us saying collectively, we must turn out at our highest rate and we must make our voice loud and clear.